Uh, Good afternoon. We are here looking at a portrait of the Burton family of Rosa Dominica. I haven't yet showed the face, the beautiful image of uh, Aileen Burton, the sister of my geography teacher at the grammar school, Frances Burton. But I thought I would start with a family portrait because so much of who we are resides within the folds of the families from which we came. And so, good afternoon, Aileen. How are you?
I am very well, thank you.
I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to have this interview with me. Very soon we will have you on, but I thought I would start with your family. I see a beautiful family portrait there uh, with your father and your mother and your siblings. Let's start with your father. Um, uh, what was his name? When was he born? And then your mother, and then you'll tell me about your siblings.
Well, Daddy he was born in 1921, 1st of March, and he lived in Roseau for most of his life. Actually, he was born in Trinidad, and he came to Dominica as a baby in
Okay.
1921. Did you ask me to talk about, what did you ask me again about Daddy?
And then what? And then so he was born in Trinidad in 1922. Who is parents?
His parents, Keith Burton and Irene Neil Winston.
And they were both Dominican.
That's right.
Indeed. And what would they have been doing in Trinidad? Were they both working there?
They lived in Trinidad for a while. I think my grandmother's father worked in Trinidad for a while.
I see. Tell us about your mother. What was her name? Give us her
My
maiden name as well.
Butler, Ina Agatha Butler, born. No, I'm sorry. Daddy was born in 1916. Excuse me, 1st of March 1916, and Mommy was born in 1921 at
Okay.
The Bath House at Bath Estate, because her father was manager of the lime plantation at Bath Estate.
That is the lime plantation owned by the British company L. Rose and Company.
Rose and Company, yes.
All
So she
right.
was born in the Bath House there.
And
11
tell,
of them were born there.
okay. So tell me about your siblings. First of all, Aileen, where were you born and when were you born?
I was born at 50 Cock Street on the 12th of January, 1950.
Outstanding. So does that make you a Capricorn then?
Oh, it does indeed.
Well, I've never met anything other than distinguished Capricorns. I know a few myself. So that's good to know. And tell us, were you the first or the second?
I'm the last.
Oh, you're the last. You're the
And I'm
baby then.
the only one at the feet of Mommy.
I see. Okay. So tell us about the sister who's at your father's right shoulder.
That is Frances.
So she is the first.
She's the first. Paula is across by Mommy. She's the
Okay.
second. Daddy is holding Miriam's shoulders. She's the third, and I'm the last.
How do you spell Miriam?
Miriam.
Okay. And so I know the Wooden family through your dad, who I knew as a well, when I knew him, he was not a soldier, but I knew him as a very distinguished Roseau-based personality. Of course, your sister Frances was our outstanding geography teacher. She was an outstanding intellect, very passionate, very kind, very gracious, and a powerful educator. I always tell the story that you did not want to fail her exam because you felt indebted to her for all the good work she put into your education. So you wanted to not disappoint. So I have very fond memories of teacher Frances Burton. And so she was an educator. I take it for most of her life.
That's right.
Okay, and
That's,
tell us about. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
And tell us about Paula.
Paula is an accountant. She was a chartered accountant. She's now retired. Many years
Uh,
now, retired.
did she study at the University of West Indies or
That's
in
right.
England or
Mommy was
Canada?
from Trinidad.
Trinidad. Okay. Did she reside there?
She was on campus in Trinidad. She got married and she now lives in Barbados with her husband, who is Barbadian.
Okay, so she went to the University of West Indies, just like
She began, yes, and then did the I don't know what you call it, but the exam to become a chartered accountant.
indeed. And your sister, who's in front of you, in front of your dad, Miriam.
Miriam is more or less a homemaker, although she went to college in Canada, but she was mainly a homemaker.
Outstanding.
Court
And uh,
system for a while, but we are all
and
retired now.
indeed, and now we have the fantastic, I say baby sister, I'm sorry, uh, sort of crouching, poised, and looking forward into the future. And that's the young Aileen Burton. And Aileen, I just want to say that's a very handsome family portrait. And so much of our family portraits in Dominica, because of different storms, have been destroyed. But I'm very thankful that you're able to preserve that one. And when would that picture been taken? Sometime in the 1950s?
I think this might have been taken in 61 or 62 because Daddy, I think this is when he was going to England. He was sent to Cambridge to do some government course. So I think this is when that photograph was taken. I may have been 11, 12.
I see. And just briefly about your father before I come to you and take down the photograph. I know your father served in the war in the British Army, but tell me um, when
The
he
West
left
Indian.
the West
Is
Indian
that-
Regiment,
Yes, right.
the West Indian Regiment, which was a division of the British Army, and
Okay.
so when he left the army after the war and came back to Dominica, what area of government service did he participate in?
He worked as an excise officer
I see.
for years, and I don't think he even got paid at that time. And then
Okay.
he worked also at the Treasury, and
Okay.
then he worked his way up. I think he was clerk of the house at one point.
Of the House of Assembly.
Yes, and
Amazing.
then actually Lennox put out a photograph, and there he was. He was clerk of the house, and then he gradually became worked up the way and became permanent secretary in the Ministry of Communication and Books. And that is where I
Outstanding.
know him.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And where did he attend high school?
At the grammar school, the Dominica Grammar School.
Okay. Do you know whether he was a cadet at the grammar school?
Yes, he was a cadet.
Outstanding. And I told you the story that the Barbadian cadet history relates that your father was a member of the Defense Force who helped the cadet camp of 1938 or 39 in Dominica, where the Combermere cadets came to Dominica. I told you that story.
Yes,
Uh,
he did. I was
yes,
glad to
indeed.
hear.
What about your mother? Was your mother someone who went to the convent high school?
Mommy went to the convent high school. I think she left in about fourth form because there were so many of them. She had to leave so that the others were able to go to school. She was a third in the family, and she got a job when she left with Elrose and Company.
I see.
From
I see.
there, she got married. She was a housewife until I was 4 years and I went to school, kindergarten. And then she worked with the CDC, Commonwealth Development Corporation, and she worked her way up to become chief accountant
Outstanding. So
without
I'm going to
having to
bring,
go to university.
I put you with your very beautiful Creole wear. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the narrator of the Burton family portrait that you heard for the past few minutes. Now you can see her in all her splendor. And she, of course, is a distinguished registered nurse and midwife who was educated in Dominica. I take it at the convent high school.
At the convent high school,
Miss-
yes, both primary and preparatory, yes, and the secondary.
But I have her here this afternoon not only to talk about the distinguished Burton family, but also to tell us about her advocacy for Dominica's Creole culture and our Creole wear and our Creole everything, for which she has been honored by Dominica's government and the Division of Culture, which I discovered she also worked with for several years. So, good afternoon to you again, Aileen. And I just want to say you've been quite an encouragement to me in this venture of trying to record persons of distinction, Dominicans, both those who are well known and those who are not so well known, for posterity, so that we can have a record of our people's march through time. Do I have your permission, ma'am, to proceed?
You do. Go right ahead.
So you already told us that you're a Capricornian, that you were born on, I think you said January 12th, was it?
Yes, January 12th.
And give us the year again.
1950.
1950. Tell us about your early years in Roseau and how that might have impacted your love of our Creole culture. You already told us about your parents.
Yes. Well, I got a lot of encouragement from my parents, but I remember be at about 3 years old, Irene Peltier, who lived up Cock Street. She was really my cultural icon because during the colonial days, she was asked, or she used to do it on her own. I'm not quite sure about that, but I think she was commissioned to give a bouquet to visiting dignitaries, the wives of visiting dignitaries. And I had full view of her walking down Cock Street because you probably do not remember the old house. And I meant to send a drawing of the old house, a painting of the old house, but I forgot. And we had a little portico facing Cock Street. And on the Queen Mary side, we had a closed veranda with jalousies. So I used to go onto the portico with my nurse to watch her coming down the road,
Amazing.
leaving her style and gam with her bouquet of flowers, a beautiful bouquet of flowers. So she could go down to the Roseau Jetty to give this presentation of a bouquet to the visiting dignitary. So she's my cultural icon from the beginning.
I learned of Irene Peltier from my father when Irvin Andre and I were engaged in collecting material for the epic work Death by Fire, the explosive story of the 1963 Carnival tragedy. And my father said to me there was a woman by the name of Irene Peltier, also known as Mama Mas.
Oh, yes,
He said, she was called Mama, as in mother, of the
yes,
carnival. And
yes.
she said to me she had her own Creole band during the carnival. Is that true?
Yes, she did. She used to organize carnival bands and people dressed in duets. But
Yes.
at that time in Dominica, their faces were covered. They all wore masks. Those
I see.
wire masks with big red cheeks and lipsticks and everything.
Yes,
And
indeed.
in those days, you couldn't call anybody that you recognized. Everything was hush hush, and everybody ran carnival anonymously because that
Anonymous.
was the time when they let down their hair and they did all their whining, bourgeoisie included. So
Yes.
yeah, so we could not call. I remember my aunts were also in this group of hers, dressed in duet, and said, "Shh, you can't call any, say Auntie Pam or Auntie." You couldn't.
Yeah.
So she was there.
Even if you knew who it was.
If you knew, you couldn't. And they
Yeah.
never removed their masks. There was a hole where the mouth was, and they would, pour the drink or lift the mask slightly to pour the drink.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to ask you to just pause for a moment for me.
Okay.
Um, so, Eileen, you said to me that when you were a child, they had the mask, they had the warp duet, and they could not take the mask off, or they, in fact, cherished or valued their privacy, if you may say. And
Mhm.
and what was that like for you? You were not participating, were you?
Not at that age.
You were more a
We
spectator.
would work from the jealousies.
Yes, yes. Tell us what Carnival was like in the old days in the 1950s and 60s as you remembered it.
For me, Carnival was frightening. I was in awe of the different groups that they had, particularly the sensei. The sensei was something massive. They were frightening. They wore sabots, so they had height. They were
Well,
tall.
tell the listening audience, for those who may not be familiar, what a sabo is.
Sabot is big shoes with some, they would put corks under it. They were thick shoes, so it gave them height. And they
Yes.
would put corks, so you would hear the corks on the street, on the pavement, making noise as they came down.
So when you say cocks, you're talking about the caps of soft drinks.
Soft drinks, that's right. Yes.
In the Creole vernacular, we say bebel.
Hebel, right.
Yeah. So that is made of metal. So when you are
Yes,
walking, that makes sparks and grates and makes a very
yes,
jarring
yes,
sound. Is that right?
that's right. Some of them wore horns, some wore pocham, which is what's
Chamber
the
pot,
pocham? A
a
pot to
chamber
pick,
pot.
a chamber pot.
That's right.
Some, yes, some had the stick of a shovel,
Yes.
and they were really, I think, awesome is the only word I can describe.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
frightening. And when they came down, they made a grunting song. Hmm, hmm, hmm. I mean, children had to be afraid. No self-respecting sensei wearer went wrong the road without children being afraid and running away. You just
Yes.
couldn't help it. And
Yes.
we had the darkies, we had the red ochres. They were Indians, which I don't see at all now. They played little things like small flutes or little something like demonstratians.
They played flutes.
Yes, little flutes with funny little music, very similar to that of monstratans and kids.
Okay, so you're saying that in Monstrances and Kits, there's a carnival tradition which includes the playing of this little flute with a funny
Yes,
sound. Yeah.
yes, yes.
So let me just kind of recite just for the record again. You had
Yes.
the sensei, and that is they're dressed in a rope costume that flows, shredded rope,
Sisal
sisal
or the
rope,
pie.
or the banana leaf, fig pie, yeah,
Yes,
banana leaf.
yes. And
There's
some
also
had like
the bag
strips of
also. There's the
paper.
crocker's bag as well.
Crocker's bag, yes. Some had newspaper.
Okay.
Some had like snippets of cloth. So they were all different types of sensei. And they were just awesome on the road. Frightening and very traditional.
Okay. So one second for me. So you had the sensei made of sisal, shredded sisal rope, newspaper, banana leaves, dried banana leaves,
Crocker's
or
bags.
crocker's bags. Crocker's bags are the bags that the sugar would come in from
Yes,
outside, or
yes,
rice. Yes,
rice. And snippets of cloth they would
I
collect
see.
from the seamstresses.
Mhm. And apart from that, you mentioned there was the darkies.
The
How were the
darkies,
darkies? What was
the
their costume?
darkies, they just had they covered their private areas and they put suit or tar and oil
Over their bodies.
over their bodies, yes. And they were covered and they had lime on each side to make their cheeks pout out.
Amazing.
The so their faces were covered, their heads, everything. They were completely black. So you would see
Amazing.
their eyes popping out and their cheeks popping out.
Amazing.
Very
That must have been very frightening.
yes. Yes.
And then the Red Indians. How were the Red Indians dressed?
Well, they called no, what we had was red ochres. The red
Okay.
ochres that they would make the dye with what is this thing they use in the Carib territory? Uh-oh. This red fruit, the name doesn't come to me now.
Okay.
It will probably come to me later. And they use it in cooking, and
I
it
see.
gets a reddish color.
I see. So
Anyway,
they'll smear their bodies with that fruit.
yeah, that. Yes, it's also good for mosquitoes. I think the Kalinago people use it a lot to prevent mosquito bites.
I see. And when you say Kalinago, you're referring to the native people who Columbus met and the colonizers met when they came to the Caribbean.
Yes,
And the only island in the world where they reside and continue in a territory is on Dominica.
in Dominica, they have their own territory. Yes,
Yeah. When you and I were small or younger, before independence, it was called the Carib Reserve.
yes,
But
yes.
now it's called the Kalinago Territory.
The Kalinago territory. Yes.
Okay, so here you are, you're born in 50 and you're seeing the evolution of Carnival. What we discovered is that Carnival after the war started to evolve because so many Dominicans had gone to Trinidad to work and started picking up the notes of Trinidad's organization. We have a Carnival Queen and a Carnival King. Can you tell us about those early days of the organization of Carnival with a Carnival King and a Carnival Queen and some famous ones you remember?
Well, from what I heard from Auntie Ursula Harris, that is Ursula Harris married to Cozy Harris. She was the first kind of carnival queen. I don't remember what year that was, maybe 1953 or somewhere like that. But at that time, there was no competition. They had the belles of the town dancing and going round in circles, in a circle. And she was chosen.
I see.
And
Would
I
that have been
think
done at the Windsor Park or someplace like that, the St. George
no,
Hall?
no, no, it didn't begin like that. It didn't begin like that. It didn't begin as a competition.
I
The
see.
girls, the belles of Roseau were brought together, they danced, and one was chosen. And
I see.
Auntie Ursula Harris was the first person to be chosen. And I think her partner of the king was Stanley Fadell.
Amazing.
Yes, and then later on, the competition started. The first, the few of those I remember was Janet Laronde, then Mrs. From Point Michel, Mrs. Suzanne Nesty, Mrs. Nesty.
Yes,
Then the
yes, yes.
others from Point Michel as well. Then Annette Hill, um, Shillingford, one of the Shillingford girls. There was Deirdre Bellot. Um, gosh, my memory fails me. But
Yes.
I think Evadne Charles was one as well. Um, I don't remember. A Mondesi girl. And very recently, there were about three girls from the Kalinago territory who won at different stages. They were Burtons.
Yes. Any relationship?
Distant relations, actually,
Yeah.
because what we were told was that there were three brothers, Burton brothers, who came from England, and one stayed in Roseau, one went to the Kalinago territory, and the other one went to Antigua. So we
I see.
have some relatives in Antigua as well, but we
Indeed.
don't know them.
Yes, indeed.
Actually, there are
And
one or two in the Martinique and Guadeloupe. We don't know
okay.
how this happened, and
Well, I
very
mean, let the history record and let history reflect for those who will be looking at this, that Dominica is the only country in the world located between two parts of France. Martinique to the south and Guadeloupe to the north. And Dominica was once part of France, the
France,
French
yes.
territory until the British invaded and removed the French authorities from power. But Dominica, Guadeloupe, and Martinique have a long history of um, uh, relations between people from all three islands, intermarriage, and in particular during World War II, about maybe 30,000 French sailors, soldiers, and refugees came to Dominica for refuge during the time that they were fighting the Nazi occupation, which manifested itself in Guadeloupe and Martinique under Admiral Robert of the Vichy government, which was a pro-German government led by Marshal Pétain. And so what happened was those persons in Guadeloupe and Martinique who were desirous of a free France rallied to the Free French or the resistance or the dissident under General Charles de Gaulle. and many of them came to Dominica. So Dominica has a long tradition of fraternal relations between the people, at least, maybe not the governments all the time, because Britain and France used to be rivals, but Dominicans gained, and this is Emancipation, this is Emancipation Weekend of 2025. And so Dominicans gained emancipation in 1834, August 1st, 1834. But I believe, and Sister Francis, Sister Arlene, you can confirm that in France it was much later. In Martin Guadeloupe, I think it's either 1844, 1848. Which was it?
Not sure.
I believe it's 1844. So for a long time, many Dominicans don't know this, but people from Martinique and Guadeloupe would be coming to Dominica by canoe to escape esclavage, because Dominica was free territory before Martinique and Guadeloupe were free territories. So and right now you live in Guadeloupe.
In Guadeloupe, yes.
Yes. So let's get back to how it was that your childhood in Roseau, among the Roseau belles like Irene Pelletier, made for your passion aimed at preserving our Creole heritage. Tell us about that.
I think I was born with that passion. I would think, and it was nurtured by the people around me, particularly my mother's family, because they were all 100% Dominicans. They took part in everything local. They took part in Carnival and any other celebrations, church celebrations, state celebrations. They were there. So I was nurtured during my growing up years. And my mother loved it. I think I'm expressing my mother because she loved it, but she was a shy person. So she expressed through me as well. My grandfather was one of those whom I was told danced the traditional dances at the bathhouse. So all this is in the blood. See, at some point.
Yes. You know, it's interesting talking to you about this because the reality is so many people in Dominica lose a sense of our culture and don't do what they can to preserve it because they fail to record it. So I'm going to go through this in a way to try to capture some of the influences. Let's talk about your school days, okay? Let's talk about your school days and what, in fact, happened with that might have been a sort of precursor. You attended what school when you were a young?
I attended the prep school, convent high school, convent prep, and then went up to the secondary school.
When did you start at the convent prep? Well, the
convent. When? Yeah. I was about 4, I think.
Yes, 4. So that would be in about 1954?
1954, yes. Yes.
And when did you start at the convent high school?
61, maybe.
Okay, 61. And in those days, did you have to take the common entrance exam or you just went up?
No. We didn't do the common entrance. We just had ordinary, the ordinary test, end of term tests.
And any distinguished Dominicans who attended school with you at that time that you can recall?
In prep school, there were the Bellots, the Boyds, the Lawrences, most of those who lived in Roseau, the Latigues, all these. Because in when I was growing up, most of the families lived in Roseau.
Then we had the families, you mean the families of the upper classes?
No. Families lived in Roseau. We didn't have Goodwill as an extension. Goodwill
That's right. So both rich and poor all lived in Roseau.
It was a dwelling city.
Yes.
Rich and poor lived in Roseau.
Yes. There were no suburbs then.
The bank managers who lived on the Moon, and the Chief Justice probably lived on the Moon.
But when you say the Moon, that's the elevated settlement overlooking Roseau, where the British Army had a barracks. They call them Moon Bruce Barracks.
That's right, Montrose. There were a lot of government houses up there.
I see.
So, but Roseau was a city of dwellers with shops and stores.
Yes.
So it was
Tell me a
a
little
close
bit about
community.
the.
Everything, we had everything in Roseau. It was a close
Yeah.
community.
Yes. Tell me about the shops. So let me ask you this. When you were a child in Roseau, would you say that most of the let's say upper class families like the Bullies, the Latigs, lived around that King George Fifth Street corridor?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yes, a lot of them lived there, but I mean, they held responsible jobs in government.
Yes.
None of us were rich except the Shillingfords.
Yes, yes, yes. And who are the Shillings? But just for those who will listen to this and do not know, are they the descendants of these three brothers who came from Yorkshire, white
That's
Englishmen?
why the people have traveled in threes. Because the
Yes,
Shillingford brothers came and settled, and they had A.C. Shillingford and Company, and they had land all over the place, you know.
yes,
So
yes,
they we could call rich, but a lot of the other families made do.
yes, yes. They were not rich, they were just maybe
Oh,
well
yeah.
educated.
And most of they were yes, they were well educated. A lot of them went to the grammar school. Some went to the Newtown boys' schools. And most of them had government jobs. At the time when you worked at government, you were not rich.
Yes, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. And what was Dominican society like in those days in the evenings? Did we have electricity when you were growing up?
Yes, we had in the old house. Yes, we did have electricity. We did not. I knew when I was growing up, we did not have flush toilets.
Okay.
Our toilets were still the toilet was still outside in the
Pit,
bathroom. We
pit
had this
latrine.
big bath, a pit. No, it had to be. It was a bucket.
Okay.
Yes, and this was taken up. And before we left the old house, so that was probably middle 50s, late 50s, we got a flush toilet.
Yes. Is that the house at the corner of Queen Mary Street and Cork Street?
On Park Street, yes. I'm
Yes,
sorry I
indeed.
didn't put that photograph, photograph of the painting of the house. It's a lovely
Now,
old Creole house.
yes, I remember it well. And let me ask you this question. What were the sort of in your youth again that framed your life on Dominica? What were the sort of uh, social events in an average year? We had Carnival, that's for sure. That was the
Yes,
biggest event.
there was
That was the big.
Christmas, there was Carnival, and then there were things like Easter Monday, Pentecost, where people went on picnics.
Yes.
Um, New Year's,
What about
what?
August Monday? What tell us about August Monday, Emancipation Day?
I don't remember anything. They used to, was it the same as Labor Day? No.
No, Labor Day was in May, and
Right.
Emancipation Day is August 1st. So that, yeah,
So August was the holiday time and picnic time.
yes, yes. And where would you go to picnic?
Country. You remember, I sent you a picture that the family picture with
Yes.
a lot of people. That is what we did on those days. We went to the country, we went to Trafalgar, we went to Shopfloor near Eggleston, and the family got together.
And
So this
you go to the river, go to the river or the sea.
sorry?
You go to the river or the sea.
Yes, the river, the sea, or we went hiking with daddy. This is one thing I must say, my parents prepared us for they made us appreciate Dominica. They taught us to appreciate Dominica and to love Dominica and to do anything for Dominica. Um,
Outstanding.
yes, Daddy took us all over the island. And the last to the waterfalls, to the Boiling Lake, to the Rosa Reservoir, we walked there. There's a picture of us. Even our dog followed us to the reservoir, the Rosa Reservoir. And yes, he taught us to appreciate walking on paths, on mud roads, And he says, when they're paved, you will appreciate them better.
Indeed.
So he really
Indeed.
ensured that his four girls knew the island. Even in Frances climbed Mont Diablo, I think, at the age of 12. And at that
Amazing.
point, it would made the newspapers that she was the first at that age to get up to Diablo.
I think I heard that, because I also heard that she was a leading girl guide in Dominica. Is that true?
Frances, no, not Frances.
Okay, so who was the girl guide then?
Um, who would you be thinking of? I was a girl guide. Not a girl guide, I was a ranger. My two other sisters, Miriam and Paula, were guides.
I see. So what
But
group did Frances
Frances,
belong to?
Frances she was with the YCS at some point. The
And can you
young
tell us what the
Christian
YCS
students.
was?
Young Christian students.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
And
Good.
she was involved in school activities. She loved sports. Um, she loved to read. Frances was a very quiet one. She loved to read. And every minute you would hear her laughing. But she
Okay.
loved to
What
read.
there's a lot of concern about library use access to libraries in Norfolk now because the Roosevelt Public Library has been closed. Well, it's been in ruins since Hurricane Maria of 2017. Tell us the role of the Roosevelt Public Library in your lives.
Oh yes, we went to the Rosa Library every Saturday to get a book. We were given a little card with the date on which we had to return the book. I didn't like reading very much, but Miriam loved reading. So she would get the books and I would read from sometimes. Then we had things like the Girls' Crystals and School Friend, little magazines, paper magazines.
Were
But the
comics
library was
common in that
very
time?
important. Pardon me?
Were comic books common in your time?
Comic books, yes, yes. Oh, yes. CB's famous for that. Bless his
Now,
soul. Of
CB's was
blessed
the
memory, Mr.
CB's
CB.
was the bookstore on Cook Street
Yes,
that
of
was
blessed
owned by
memory.
Hesketh Casimir, the
Yes,
musician.
and we were
Yes.
all
So
records, musical records as well.
yes, yes. So what kind of comics would you read when you were growing up?
Archie, Veronica and Archie, and then the school friends were comics. School friends and Girl Crystals, they were
Mhm.
comics. And
Yes.
then Archie, I don't remember the others.
Tell us about cinema in your time. Was there access to cinema?
Yes, the first I remember is that the cinema there was no voice. We just to me it was somewhere near where the Rosatown Council is now, in a room there, and there was no voice. And it's black and white. And then in the
Okay.
50s, later 50s, we started with the Carib cinema, and we had all these lovely Hollywood films that were all marked by those lovely romantic, soft, good music, good stories.
Do you remember any of those that you can recall?
We had South Pacific, I remember, quite dramatic. Then Sound of Music, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, Cowboys. There's so many of them. Pardon
Yes.
me. But lovely, warm, Ten Commandments. Oh, so many of them. And
Let me
we
ask
used
you a question because you're personal culture and the arts.
Mhm.
For those persons who did not have the opportunity that you had to experience Dominica and the cinema culture in the golden, what I call the golden years, can you
Yes.
describe what it was to have pit, house, balcony, box, and how people dressed to go to the movies?
Well, Pitt was the cheapest and they were on benches. Then we had house, which is where we went. And then there was balcony, where there was a little bit more money went.
Yes.
But my
And there was box. There was box with the governor.
yes, special was special. But we went to house. I remember going to Pitt at one point, but that's when we were older, we could
Yes.
fend for ourselves. But
Can you
we
tell
went
us about what you remember about the culture of rushing and what rushing was?
rushing in this small, narrow corridor. You rush through, and then the people in Pittman, they put life in the show. That he gas.
Did you ever figure out, Aileen, is it Aileen or Aileen? Aileen, did you ever figure out where that he gas came from? The word.
No, no.
I was trying to figure out there's an old English word called egad, E-G-A-D. And I'm wondering whether that was a corruption of that word, because just so people understand who are listening to this, whenever there's a fight on the screen, the entire cinema would erupt.
Yes,
He gas. Of course,
yes.
sometimes it would slide in a profanity there as well.
Oh,
He
yes.
gas and so on. I never figured out where that came from.
I don't know either. But they give
It
life
was
to
like
the
a war,
movie.
it was like a fight chant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, yes. So you have cinema. What about the Botanic Gardens? Was that another center of
Oh,
activity?
beautiful. The Botanic Gardens was so beautiful, so well kept with its ornate trees, unique trees. And we went there every afternoon with our nurse. We went
Yes.
for walks.
You had a nurse.
We had a nurse, yes.
What was her name, if you remember?
Dorothy Vigilant, and she was from La Plaine.
Outstanding, Dorothy Vigilant. And when did you stop having a nurse? How old were you?
When I was 16.
Oh, wow. So you had a nurse for most of your early life, just 2 years short of 18.
But but we were taught well to do everything in the house. None of us depended on anybody. We each had our chores to do.
Tell me a little
But
bit about the culture of your family with regard to things like religious instruction, prayer, discipline. I mean, your father was a soldier.
yes, mommy was very religious, very Christian, very Catholic. My father had a lot of questions about religion. A lot of questions. He questioned a lot of things, but he went to church with mommy, and he made every effort to understand teachings of the Catholic Church. But his actions were Christian. He may not have agreed with everything of the Catholic Church, but that did not deter his heart from being kind, from being responsible, from doing his duty seriously, from performing well. That didn't come into it. It was just the doctrine that he questioned, but he was a Christian at heart. Beautiful
Indeed,
soul, beautiful soul.
indeed.
He
Let me,
was a little bit energetic in his way of speaking. He he did not like to listen to nonsense, but his heart was as soft as butter. He
indeed,
was a good
indeed.
father, he was a good provider, and to me, he was my idol.
Yes,
Yes. I
yes.
knew
Was he?
I felt safe with him, very safe with him.
Yes, yes, yes,
When
yes,
he died, and I was in the house at one point alone, I always feel he's close to me. And
yes.
interestingly, in Benin, I just visited Benin, and this he is like a spiritual leader. Says that my father is looking after me.
Amazing.
I know that. I feel it.
Indeed, indeed. That's wonderful, to have that relationship. Would you say that he brought his military discipline into the home?
Oh, indeed, he didn't stand for nonsense. And if mommy said to, you see, he and mommy worked very closely together in bringing us up. They never argued in front of us about us. These things were discussed in their room, and they made their decision. And one of them would tell us, "You're either if we ask to go somewhere, you can go or you can't go." Or daddy would give a time, mommy would stick by it. There was never any controversy as one playing, the children against the other. Never. They were one. And daddy, we were disciplined. We were disciplined. I mean, you take something, you put it back. You borrow something, you give it back. You ask. And with daddy, I learned at a very early age the difference between can and may. Can
Great.
is your ability to do something, but may is asking permission. So
Indeed.
you couldn't go to him and say, Daddy, oh, I want. Want and may I have. You couldn't
Indeed.
go to him, to mom, either mommy or daddy and say, I want something. No, may I have.
Indeed.
They are the
Which,
ones who, they did not have a tree, a money tree. So they gave us what was necessary. We did not have luxuries. I mean, relatively speaking, we were okay. We were well taken care of, but we didn't have luxuries as maybe some other people had.
indeed.
But we had
Indeed.
what was necessary for us as children. We had to do chores in the house.
Tell us about the chores you had to do.
Well, we had a long, very long drawing room. And my second sister used to polish it, get down on her knees and polish it. The helpers never did that. I had to cross scrub down the steps and clean the telephone where the table where the telephone sat, the old telephones. We each had something to do, sweep the yard or, you know.
So you're not creatures of comfort. You had to work.
It wasn't work, it was contributing to the maintenance of the house. I mean,
Yes.
you live in a house, you eat and drink, so you need to contribute. And
Indeed.
there were small tasks. We didn't
Indeed.
iron, we didn't wash, but we did little things, making our beds. Helpers never made our beds. We made our beds, we swept down the steps and the landing, cleaned our rooms, you know. And if we wanted something in a hurry, we ironed it ourselves. We were not spoiled. We were
Indeed.
helped, but we had our responsibility in the house. So any of us can go anywhere and we are fine. We don't have to depend on anybody. We are all independent.
Yes. Yes. Let me ask you a question about character formation. You said two of you were guides, but you were not a guide yourself, were you?
I was a ranger. I became a ranger later on. The
What? Tell us
rangers,
about the Rangers because you don't hear much about the Rangers anymore.
okay, rangers, it's the older group from about 16 to 18. It was run by Mrs. Elwin, Lucia, what's her name there? She lived up in Kennedy Avenue, not Kennedy Avenue, Hillsborough Street.
But did you wear a uniform?
Yes, I wore uniform very much like the guides, not the same color blue, but very similar. We went on camps. We went to on hikes, camps, visiting the infirmary when the infirmary used to be in, is it Elliott
Longmore.
Avenue at the end?
Elliott Avenue in
By
Portersville.
the Gucci Way.
Yeah, by the mouth of the river, the
Right.
mouth of the Rosa River.
That's right. And we would cook. We would cook red beans, gel cochon, which is the mouth of the pig and the pigtail, with dumplings. Sometimes we would put dash in, or we would have rice. Mrs. James, Lucia James's mother, voila.
Yes,
And
yeah,
she was our captain. And she would take us to the infirmary and we would give the inmates a lunch. We would cook at
yeah.
her home and give a lunch.
That's wonderful.
So these
And
are the
so,
things that we had to, which formed us to give, to
yeah,
assist, voluntary work. Nobody paid us, but
yes,
we had a little, we gave a subscription at every meeting. Of course, we got that from our parents because we were not working. But
yes.
with that subscription, we were able to buy those things, cook it, and take it to the infirmary.
Outstanding. So you're saying that from early on in your household and with your sisters two being guides, you being a ranger, the whole idea of servant leadership and volunteerism and civic duty, those values were inculcated in your family.
That's all we knew. Where were people getting money to pay? The only thing I remember Miriam and Paula doing was Bob a job. with the guides. They would go to homes and clean brass or polish something to get some money for the guide company. They used to
So
call it
bubble
bubble
job, you
job.
describe because that's a term that's not often heard anymore in Dominica. Explain what a bubble job was.
They would give them a bob, which was how much?
A
A
pound,
shilling?
a shilling, yeah.
A shilling, I
A,
think. Yes. I
so a
don't think it
bob
was
was a certain a currency value.
currency. Yes.
And you would, you know, I think in England they say a quid is a pound, but the bob would be whatever it was, and you
I
get
think it
that for
was
the
a
work you
shilling.
did.
Yes, that's a shilling. Wouldn't have been a pound. So you would get a shilling to do a little job. We used to go to all the neighbors around, you know. They would
So things
go
like bake
get.
sales and jumble sales. What's a jumble sale?
We did a lot of that. We did a lot of cake sales as well to get money. So we were taught not to beg, but to work for an income, no matter how small.
Do you believe that those values of volunteerism, of civic duty, of learning to work hard for what you want, learning not understanding that you should not be a beggar, you should not beg. Do you believe those values have been lost in Dominica or are being under strain?
Probably, I would say under strain, but a lot of people I know do a lot of voluntary work. But the general consensus these days is that people must pay.
Yes,
You know, they look forward to being paid. You know,
yes, to do
I do
things
so
that you
many
should be.
things voluntarily up to now.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that because I'm going to talk about your education in England when you left Dominica, when you left. But you started very early, try pursuing the whole idea of cultural preservation, heritage preservation. Give me, and you've mentioned Irene Peltier already, your mother somewhat, because your mother, I believe, was in the Social League, which was a Catholic women's organization. But give me a sense of the personalities in the roles of your time who influenced you in the direction of being a promoter of Creole heritage preservation.
Okay, so I had all my aunts, all mommy's sisters, 100% Dominican. They took part in everything, all those who were in Dominica. So I got that from the family. Then there was Baby Robinson just next to me, Ivadne Robinson. Her husband was a photographer. So she also was a mama mas too, like Irene, mama mas. And then there was Aileen Winston, Auntie Aileen, she used to have what they call the band milat, of the Milatress of Roseau. I never joined her band,
And
but
mulat is the French word for the English word mulatto, someone of mixed African European heritage.
that's right. So she would have her gang, and we would listen to the music because she always had a Jingping band. So we'd listen to that. When we went up to the country on holidays, I remember my grandmother had a little estate house, my grandparents, little house in, we call it the area, Shoflo, is near to Eggleston, just before Eggleston. My auntie Pam, she worked at CG Dupini's cloth shop, dry goods. She worked there. And on holidays, we would go up to the country. She would just walk up the path, a little track, what we call a shascot or shortcut.
Yes.
And she would collect the people, the band from Eccleston. They would come down to the house and play. And what we would give them drinks and food, you know. So all that came from my family. So I learned,
Amazing.
yes, to enjoy the Jingping music, the accordion band music. And then through guiding, no, we had Mrs. Cordero after that. Mrs. Cordero
That's
came.
the famous Mabel Cici Conora.
Yes.
Tell us about her because I don't remember her. I know of her, but I don't remember her.
She was a Boyd, the Boyds that lived in Great George Street, going down to the bridge. So Stanley Boyd was her brother. Was it her brother or cousin? Might have been her cousin. But she was a boy, and she got married to a Cordero. And she had
Was
a
Cordera
school.
also Dominican?
I don't think so. I think he was from Venezuela.
Okay.
From Venezuela. Now, her first daughter told me that she had a school. She was one of the first ones to have a primary school. And then she, with Mr. Leblanc, brought in National Day celebrations where the dances were performed and competitions were held. She
And
also
if you can
had,
stick a pin in that, when you say Mr. Leblanc, you're talking about the chief minister from 1961 to
he was,
1967, Edward Oliver Leblanc, and after 1967 to 74, when he left, he was the premier of Dominic.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right. And
Did you know
she,
him? Did you know him?
I did.
What kind
I
of
did.
person was he? Can you tell us?
He was a very humble person. This is what I remember. And I would just like to give this little anecdote. My father was 50 years old and he invited the premier at the time to attend his birthday party at home. The car was not working, the government vehicle was not working. Mr. Libler put on his shoes and his suit and he walked down to 50 Cock Street.
Amazing.
You know, I mean, what more can you ask of a premier or of a leader of a country? He walked down
Yeah.
from the barn to our house.
Amazing.
And we were able to get him back up with somebody else, but he didn't call to say he couldn't come because his car was not working. He walked down the morn to come to daddy's birthday party. I mean, I could never forget anybody like that. Never.
And at that time, the government of Dominica had an official residence at the Mont
At the
for
morn,
the chief minister.
that's right. And when I was a ranger, I used to go with other rangers to serve at his cocktail parties.
Interesting.
Yes, dressed in on jeep or
Ah,
sometimes in guide uniform, but mainly in
amazing.
jeep around the independence period in jeep.
Yes,
So,
yes,
all these things allowed us to participate in the happenings of the country. So we
yes,
work for country. We
yes.
did not work for politics. We worked for country. That
That's
was
right.
my
So you're,
that was my duty. It was my duty.
that's right. So duty, honor, duty, country. Those are the three things.
Yes. And then
Honor, duty, country.
the school song, Honor, Duty, Purity. That's the convent high school, part of the convent high school. And Labor Conquers All. That's part
Yeah,
of the convent high school song.
yes,
So we were inculcated from our families, from school, from guiding, from church, to help
yes,
for the betterment of the country.
yes.
When the tourist boats would come in, the real tourist boats would come in, we would they asked me and a few others like Claudia Joseph, Rosemary, Giro, we would go down to the bayfront dressed in jeep to serve the visitors as they came. Miss Charles was part of that.
Amazing.
You know, they would
Virginia
stop
Charles, later Prime Minister.
at Charles and Mrs. Osborne, who was guide commissioner at the time. So she would ask some of the guides to come, and we all went quite happily,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So, but I mean,
This is fantastic. I just want to thank you again for encouraging me to get the interview with your very good friend, Will Christian, my cousin, the other day. I'm going to ask you a few questions that I asked her. I'm going to start and I want you to finish it because value engineering to me is a big part of preserving the beneficial aspects of our culture. I mean, not every aspect of our culture is beneficial. I mean, we had color prejudice, we had slavery, and all those things, but there are other things we had that were very beneficial that I am afraid we are losing. I'm going to say a few things. I want you to finish it. Waste not,
once not,
stitching time,
phase 9,
honesty,
best policy,
birds of a feather,
flock together.
Amazing. So when our father died, I said that to an audience here in Washington, mostly West Indians, and in Dominica, the Anglican Church, and everybody pretty much, I'd say 90% of the people like you were able to answer me from the congregation
Yes.
because they were of a particular generation. And I've asked those same things to some younger people, and they've been able to answer me only somewhat, some not at
Yes.
all. And so it says to me that there was a successful process of value engineering that made for Dominica to be a peaceful, mostly peaceful, law-abiding, and cohesive society that we need to preserve. The same way that we're striving to preserve the Jip and the Creole culture, I believe we also have to preserve the elements of our character as a nation, as a people, that
Yes.
distinguishes us rather from other countries where there's always conflict, and people are always fighting over things. Dominica, as I knew, it was very, I mean, when I came to Washington and I met people who'd been refugees in different places of the world, I felt how fortunate I was to have
Yes.
grown up in a very peaceful country. Can you speak to that for a moment? And then we'll go into your time in England when you left Dominica.
Can I just add one more that Nenen used to tell us? That's my great aunt. She was Daddy's aunt, and she lived with us. And whenever she heard us giggling, 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 and somebody saying stop, and we still giggling, she used to say, "Please tap, please twist. Later we'll be sadder.
I
We'll be
see.
sad later because somebody is going to cry, somebody is going to get upset.
I think
Please
I remember that.
behave yourselves.
Yes,
Stop."
yes, yes,
And Daddy always tell us when somebody asks you to stop, you stop.
yes,
Especially
yes,
when people are tickling each other,
yes.
you need to tell us do not continue. When
Be-
somebody asks you to stop, they have had enough. Control yourself. Stop.
There's someone who's going to fall and get a burst head or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, but the person you're tickling may change character
Yes.
because sometimes they're laughing, but they will get upset and you might pay for it afterwards. So
That's
you
right.
respect people when they tell you to stop, stop.
Indeed.
You
Indeed.
don't
Earlier,
aggravate people. You don't yeah, you don't
okay.
aggravate.
So you're getting ready to leave Dominica for higher
Yes,
education. But
yes.
earlier on, we talked about the Jeep and the Creole wear and Carnival and those things. But there was another aspect to our culture at the time where we had a lot of local treats. The Colombians call it alegría. Tell us about the local treats that were part of our school culture and growing up in Dominica, the local treats that you knew.
Oh, there were so many of them. So we had tablets, coconut cheese, gooseberries on the stick, unbreakable,
Tell us
tambourine
what's
jam.
unbreakable. Hold on. What's an unbreakable?
Unbreakable is a sweet that really cannot be broken. It will stretch, but it cannot be broken. It might break your teeth,
Yeah, what
but
was
it
it made of?
cannot be broken. You just had to suck it. It was made from sugar and coloring. But there was
Yes.
a process, and mommy said this lady used to, there was a nail, and when you made that um, syrup, and the syrup got hard, she would throw it on the nail and pull it, throw it and pull it
Mm,
to lengthen it and get it to a particular size so she could cut it.
amazing. So we had
Yes,
our local candy makers.
what we did. You know, we had a lot of specialists when I was growing up. I learned that from my aunts. There were people you sent your clothes to be washed. They were specialists in washing and removing stains. There were those who could iron anything. I mean, imagine ironing the duet. Once you can iron a duet, you can iron anything. There were specialists. There was my aunt used to talk about the lady who used to darn clothes. They were taught to do that by the nuns and by their, a lot of them were taught to do that by their godmothers who were from a different level of society. So they were taught to darn. Then people, you would go to shop at the market. They knew how to choose vegetables. Then we had the shoemaker. We had the gentleman down Lagon who made tin cups. He
That's
made,
that's a Susie movie.
I don't remember his name, but he used to make tin cups. He
He made
used
tin
to
cups. He made funnels also.
funnels. He made graters.
Yes.
Um, there's something he did with,
He was essentially a tinsmith.
yes. Then there
We
was,
also had a blacksmith by the river called Mr. Cesar.
okay, okay. I remember Mr. Leonard in, uh, Mr. Leonard who repaired shoes. Then we had the jewelers, pardon me. We had jewelers. We had,
What are jewelers you remember?
there were Burton brothers who used to do that, Mr. Julian. There's another man, Mr.
Waldron,
Waldron, but there was another one just
Mr.
by
Menz, Mr.
just
Menz
by
in
Maggie
Newtown.
Blanc. Just by Maggie Blanc. I don't remember his name though. But he used
Frampton, was
to,
that Frampton?
no, 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 no. I don't remember his name. But we had specialists. We had
Yeah,
people
I
who
remember as a child, there were jewelers in Roseau who actually smelted gold and made your
yes,
own
yes,
bracelet and ring
the
for you.
Burton brothers would do that.
Yeah.
They lived in Cayenne. I think they lived in Cayenne and then they came back to Dominica. And then there was the handicrafts by the nuns used to make mats and hats and straw bags. I'm sorry this thing never continued. It's a pity. Because Dominica's straw mats would go worldwide. Eh? They were well um, reclaimed or sought after.
Mhm.
It's, so,
Yes, indeed.
it's a pity that it just dissolved.
Yeah,
But
I remember as a child, I mean, just talking about local creative
yes,
arts. You had Tropic Crafts. You later on had the workshop for the blind that my mother was involved in. But you also had a tradition of straw makers. I remember going to Granby and there would be straw all along the side of the road being dried. So they could come into Roseau to sell their straw to be turned into baskets and into hats. And the local um, culinary artiste, I remember my Ursula making the best bakes in Roseau. The other people might disagree. They
Street
made
Posse.
That's right, Cork Street. She, when we were at the Rosa Mixing School, she made bakes, which is a fried biscuit. And they also made things like, as you said, coconut cheese, tablet, which is made from coconut,
Coconut
firing
pie,
cocoa. Firing cocoa.
Paris,
Remember firing
and
cocoa?
Henry on the Hill used to do that.
Tell us what is firing cocoa for young people who may not know.
Grated coconuts. After you've squeezed out the milk to make your coconut cheese, then you would put it in dry it on the fire with sugar.
Yes.
So it's very fine.
And
And
you put that, they'd make a cup out of a newspaper and
yes,
put it
that's
in
a
the cup and then
cone. A cone.
a cone, yes, a cone, yes. Indeed,
Mhm,
indeed.
mhm.
In your day, there was no television,
But no,
well, but you had radio.
it's in our yard.
You had radio,
We had the radio, yes. We had a gramophone
yes.
and we
And
had a piano.
what kind of music would you play?
Daddy played a lot of classical music for us. He
Yes,
enjoyed classical music, so I grew up on classical music. And then,
yes.
of course, when the other things came out, then we got a turntable. And then
Mhm.
when things came out, like Sparrow Records, Calypso Records, then Makiba Records. Well, this is what I tell you, I was born with that gene of traditional stuff and African stuff because I would buy Makiba Records, and she's the
And that's
one,
Marian Makiba of South Africa, singer.
Miriam Makiba, South Africa. And so we would buy those records at CB's. Then we would get when the Gaylords produced records, we would get those. The Those people from Barbados, what are they called now?
Trade winds.
The what?
Trade winds?
Trade
Or
Winds, yes,
there's
yes.
also the Merrymen.
The Merry Men,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
Barbados.
But Daddy played a lot of classical music, so I was very, this served me well when I went to England. Two things served me, well, a few things served me
Well,
very well.
before you get to that,
Okay.
tell me when you went to England and why you went to England.
I went to England to do nursing. I knew I was not going to university. My marks would not have been high. I didn't like school. That is one thing I'm going to tell you right on. I did not like school. And I knew my marks were not going to be university level. And I knew my parents would not be able to afford. So I went to England to do nursing,
What year?
where 69,
Okay.
where I was getting paid. You know, we
And
had a
at
little.
that time, just so the listeners will understand, Dominica at that time was an overseas territory of England, so you didn't have a visa that you need. You could just go.
We went, there were two of us who went, Leonora Pinard, who's of blessed memory. She and I went together. We planned to go together and we traveled together. We did not need a visa, but they gave us, we had to renew our stay. We had to apply if
Yeah.
we wanted to stay longer than
But you had a
the,
British passport, didn't you?
we had a British passport, yes, but it was not an English passport in that sense. They knew we were coming from the Commonwealth, from the island.
Yeah.
So we still had to apply for further stay if we wanted to.
Okay. And where did you know where you were going? Did you have family there or friends?
No, I didn't have, I had family, but in another part of England. But I was not going to them. Leon and I, Dr. Muller she used to be at the
Extramural tutor.
rural department, right?
She was a
Dr. Muller,
German. She was a German.
that's right, bless her heart. She helped us to apply. And she gave us the best hospitals because we both wanted to do pediatric nursing, and that hospital we applied to did a 4-year course. So instead of 3 years, we did a 4-year course. So we sat the state board for adult nursing and pediatric nursing, and that was in Brighton, Royal Alexandra Children's Hospital. And I met Princess Alexandra.
Right.
She came to visit the hospital once, and I was one of those who, was able to shake hands with her.
So how long
But
did you study as for your nursing
I
license?
did 4 years in Brighton between the Children's Hospital and the General Hospital. So 4 years, and we did 2 exams.
And
So that
that's when
was,
you said Brighton. Is that the same place as Brighton Beach?
oh yes, I used to walk down there when I felt lonely and homesick. I would walk down. Leon and I would both walk down and feel the sea breeze, and think of home.
Yes, yes. How did you make out in the winter?
I hated the winter. Our first winter was good because it snowed on Christmas Day.
Hmm.
And that was the most beautiful sight because when Leon and we shared a room, big room, and when we woke in the morning, there was snow on the green holly leaves. So there were red berries, green leaves, and white snow on the top. I mean, this image has never left my mind. And then on the
Amazing.
rooftops, and people hadn't started walking in the streets yet. So everything was pristine and beautiful and white. So
Yes.
that I enjoyed. But when it turned to slush, that was another story.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, our hospital was just across the road. We lived in nurses' quarters just across the road. So walking to work was fine. But
Were
when
there
once
other
we
West? Yeah. Were there
Hmm?
other West Indians with you or the Dominicans with you?
Leon and I were the first two colored girls to train at that hospital.
I see.
And we were treated with kid gloves.
I see.
We were, well, as for me, for 3 months, every time I got a letter from home, I would cry. And
Hmm.
home sister would cuddle me and put me in her arms.
That's
And
how old were you? You're about just 18?
19,
Yes, yes,
19.
yes,
But
yes. So they were very tender. You had a lot of TLC, tender loving care.
yes, I had a lot of, and at that time in England, we were served the meals at table. We
I
were
see.
served breakfast, we were served lunch, we were served dinner. And by the
Mhm.
time I was leaving, they had something like a little restaurant uh, arrangement where
A
you had to,
buffet?
yes. So you see, even in England, the standards were dropping. The
Yes.
standards were dropping. We were
Yes.
served by helpers
Mhm.
in lovely stainless steel r- um, dishes, highly polished. You know, we were really treated. The standard at that time was good. We had a nursing home. We did nurses' home. If we were sick, they took us to a sick bay, which was near to the sea. Leon
I
had
see.
the Leon went there when she was ill once, and there was a home sister there to visit her. Nurses were there to help them. So the standards were. Thank God I did it at that time.
Outstanding. Did you associate with any West Indians or Dominican organizations in
There was
England?
one girl from Guyana who came after her training, her adult training. She came down to do the pediatric course. I knew one lady from Dominica who lived in London in Southall, and I used to go up to her to spend my days off. Then at some point, there was another girl, Cecilia Martin, who had her parents in England, her father. She had come up to finish school and to go to university, and we would join her.
I see.
Then later on the following year, Alice Mitchell later came up to our hospital. So we had another one, and she had connections. So we would go up to London, and have fun with some Dominicans there. And then there
So
was some for the Commonwealth students. We went up to BBC, and they would allow us to send greetings to our parents.
amazing, amazing. All that time, did you have any sort of engagement with cultural rendition of Creole wear at any special events?
Well, I had been doing that from home. I did that with the guides, Brownell, Rose Johnson. You know Rose Johnson?
I don't, but what I'm saying is when you went to England, did you bring your jip with you? Or your what
It was
what
sent to me. It was sent to me,
I
and
see.
there was how you call this now, a parade, and they asked the nurses from different ethnic groups, different countries, to wear their traditional dress. So mommy sent up my outfit. I didn't go up with it. She sent it up to me, and I wore it, and I was one of those who was chosen to take a picture with the mayor of Brighton. There were four of us, one Irish, and Welsh, I think, yes, with the little cap on, Welsh, and I. We had no Africans at that time.
Yes.
So I was chosen because they had never seen that outfit before. And again, nobody
Outstanding.
knew where Dominica was. Everybody thought I was from Jamaica, but I
I
insisted, ensured that they realized that there was a Dominica.
yeah.
Always proud of my country, always. No matter
Of
what was
course.
happening at that time, I was always proud. And I thought I was a good representative of my country.
You I'm sure you were, no doubt about it. So how long did you remain in England?
8+ years.
Okay.
I went
And then
on to
after,
do midwifery, and then I became a sister. I worked on we all say in England, NICU,
yeah,
the premature babies. I
yeah,
was sister on the premature
yeah,
baby ward.
yeah. Neonatal intensive care unit. Yeah, yeah. So you were there for 8 years, and when you left England, did you go back to Dominica or you went to Canada?
I always wanted to go to return to Dominica because at school I was a member of the Legion of Mary, and we had to do jobs. We had to do every week, we had to go to somewhere to choose what we wanted to do. And I used to go up to the hospital. First of all, I used to help to serve dinner in the private ward. Sister Brooks, Sister Fredericks. In casualty, there was Sister Stella Green, Sister Green, Sister Sims. Um,
Stella
Sister,
Green was the girlfriend of George James who died in the fire.
that's right, that's right. Lovely girl, lady. And I worked with all these old sisters, Sister John Baptist, um, a whole lot of them. So I
Let me
always
ask
worked.
you, so you went in 69, so you would have come back right around 77.
78.
Okay, okay. And where you worked at the Princess Margaret Hospital or you worked in the country?
I didn't, because when I returned to Dominica, I sent in my application, and for 6 months, I got not a word, not even a response to say they had received my application.
Oh boy. So
So
what
I
happened?
sat down and I was getting a little bit depressed about it all, because I mean, that was my aim, to return to Dominica and work at the hospital with my old nursing friends.
Yes.
So, Mommy saw I was getting really despondent because there was just no word, silence.
Yeah.
So she called my aunt who worked in Guadeloupe. She was trained in England. She came down to Guadeloupe because they wanted nurses trained for pediatrics. And when I walked into the how you would call him now, the owner of the hospital, because it was a private hospital, he said to me in French, I am going to take your dossier, present it to the prefecture, and tell them that we want you.
Okay. That
Simple
was
as
it.
that. That was it.
And so you went to Guadeloupe in what year?
It was the end of 78, and August 78, yeah, or
That's before
September.
independence.
Yes, yes, before independence, yes.
So you've been in Guadeloupe since 78.
Well, no, I spent 5+ years in Guadeloupe. But I still wanted to come back to Dominica. I was missing Dominica. I was missing my family. I mean, it's true I was close, but then that was just my whole intention, coming to work in Dominica. So I returned to Dominica after 5.5 years. And
So
I
that would have
started,
been in the early 80s.
yes, 84, I think.
Yes. So when you're in Guadeloupe, did you associate with the Creole um, um, traditional way of movement, or did you do displays? Did you do
So didn't have time
presentations?
for that. Didn't have time for that. Their working hours were really very quick, very time consuming. You would work in the morning, sometimes have a break for lunch, come back to work in the evening. They were really, it was very archaic work system, very archaic hours. So I didn't have much time for that. Although I was able to attend a few shows, and I was able to go once or twice to the studio where they practice, they rehearsed, the
Yes.
dance rehearsed. But I was not able to join a group because of my nursing hours, working hours.
So this is what we have. You attended the primary school at the Convent High School Prep, secondary school at the Convent High School. You did Brighton School of Nursing, where you got your uh, certificate or diploma as a registered nurse. You also went to the Reading School of Midwifery in the United Kingdom. So you studied nursing in the United Kingdom, but you also went to Jamaica, University of West Indies at Jamaica, for a nursing administration's course. Is that correct?
That's right. I
And
went
then
up,
sorry.
I I went for a year
Okay.
to do certificate in nursing administration.
Was that at the University Hospital at Mona?
We did it on campus, and then we were sent to the hospital in Montego Bay
I see.
for practicals.
Indeed. And
It was
then,
really part of the university campus and syllabus because we attended certain courses with other first-year students.
Okay. And then you were in Guadeloupe for 5 years as a pediatric nurse.
Yes.
And then you came to Dominica, and for 20 years, you were the nurse midwife administrator, both in Roseau and at Portsmouth. Is that correct?
No, in Portsmouth. In
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth. Yes.
So you knew a nurse there by the name of Olive Douglas?
Oh,
Olivia
yes,
Douglas?
oh, yes, oh, yes.
Okay.
Lovely lady.
Yes, indeed, I do concur. I'll send you her interview if you've not seen it. And then you became the program coordinator after that, or during that time, of the Dominica National Council for Women.
Well, I left nursing. I worked 6 years as a nurse. And then I left nursing in 89 after Daddy died. I just felt I couldn't continue. So I left the profession, and then I became the program coordinator of the Dominica National Council for Women for a contract of 2 years. I did not renew my contract. And but I was able within the 2 years to do a lot of the programs which were in the pipeline. So I was able to execute most, if not all, of the things in the pipeline. They wanted to wanted to be done, including the hotline for domestic violence.
Outstanding.
Able to sit at home with the telephone. I went out once or twice during the night with for cases with the police. I worked very closely with the police, particularly the women.
Yes.
And Yvonne Alexander, I worked with her.
She later became a superintendent or something.
Yes.
Let me ask you, very distinguished policewoman, very distinguished. Let me ask you a question. Would you say that domestic violence during the time you were in Dominica was a problem or no?
Was a problem?
Was it frequent? Was it something that was a concern?
I think it was more frequent than was reported.
I see.
Yes, because a lot of people who kept quiet about these things. But when the council opened the hotline, we got a few calls, but I would get a lot of people coming in,
Yes.
to speak about it. And then I would refer them to various agencies where they could be helped.
Yes. And was there ever a home for abused women that they could go to if their boyfriends or husbands beat them up?
Yes, there was a home, but by that time I had left.
I see. And the home was in Roseau or Portsmouth?
In Roseau. So somewhere.
So you could go there and have a bed for the night, that type of thing.
Yes.
Very good.
I don't know whether that still exists.
Yes. I also note in your record that you were the first international commissioner of the Dominica Girl Guides Association.
That's right, yes. That was in 88, 89. There was a visiting commissioner from the Western Hemisphere. She came to Dominica to check up and to visit. And I was with the commissioner, who was Mrs. Benjamin at the time, invited me over and we had tea. And then this commissioner from the Western Hemisphere, at the end of the meeting, she says, but there you have your international commissioner. Why are you looking further? So I was chosen. And I represented Dominica at the Western Hemisphere Conference. And then in Singapore, Malaysia, I represented my chief commissioner, who was Mrs. Pestin at that time, because she was unable to go. So I represented Dominica there, Singapore and Malaysia.
Indeed. And let me ask this question about the WAP duet and everything else. I mean, you really were the sort of organizer of that book that I've seen with Creole where you were actually wearing the WAP Creole.
Which book is that one?
Well, I think it's from the Division of Culture. It may not have been your book, but it would have been.
Really?
But before we do that, I just want to
Mhm.
show there's a picture that I just found. Let me see if I can share it. Can you see this picture?
Oh yes, that's us.
Yes, and you would be the little one sitting down in the chair.
Sitting down with her hair plastered down on the side. Yes, that's me.
Yeah. And where's Teacher Frances? Is that the one with the doll?
Holding her doll. She's holding her doll.
Indeed, indeed. And I want to see if I can um, see here. There's another one that I would like to share. Just bear with me for a moment. It's another very nice one. Let's see here. Can you see anything?
No.
Uh, let's see. Can you tell
Yes.
me who's in that photo on the right?
This is my dearly beloved daddy, blessed memory, on the right. He was in
Yeah.
Toronto at long what?
Yeah.
Long range.
I think it says
Army days.
Long Branch,
Long
Toronto,
brand.
April 45. So that's during the war.
Yes.
Yes. How did he end up in Canada? Because my dad was in the army, but they mostly when he was sent somewhere to Italy and Egypt, but he was in a special unit.
You know, I really don't know how daddy ended up in Canada.
Yes. Because my
I
father,
don't know whether they sent him to Canada from Barbados. I think that's probably what happened.
okay.
Because 1945, yes, he probably was in Barbados, and they may have seconded him to Canada for further
Yeah.
training. I think that's
Yeah.
what happened.
Because my father always said that he did not train with them, that
No,
he'd gone to Canada,
that's
you
right.
know? Yeah.
So from Barbados, they must have sent him on.
Um, I want to see if I can. There are a lot of beautiful pictures that you sent, and I'm going to try to see if I can get to show some of them. Um, let's see here. Let's see here. Just bear with me for a moment, okay?
So,
There's a. Let's see here. I wish I could get to the email, but I can't get to it. So what I'm going to do, I'll maybe just add those later because it's a
mhm.
very nice collage that you provided. But I want to just kind of come to this place where we can tie it all together. We've talked about your life on Dominica, the influence of Carnival, your time in organization, and now you're with the Division of Culture. You spent 10 years with people like Raymond Lawrence and Alwyn Bully and Phil Christian. Tell me about that seasoning at the Division of Culture, which of course was building upon what you already had done early in your life.
Yes. Um, it was most interesting and something that I had probably this is where I enjoyed the most, working the most, because I did the quincentennial U in 1993 after I left the Dominican National Council of Women. I did not ask to renew my contract. I left and I worked with Mr. Maynard, and I was able to organize events for the whole year in collaboration with the departments of government, just to observe the 500th anniversary of the Encounter of Cultures.
Yes.
So
I think between Columbus showing up on the Western Hemisphere, in the Western
that's
Hemisphere. Okay.
that's so I know there was a lot of talk about observing and commemorating. So I think we were observing.
Yeah.
And I really had a very good experience in that year, working with the different governmental departments. And I was able to, I did an exhibition and I went to Diputa, and Mrs. Angie Diputa, God bless her soul, gave me a whole lot of photographs. And I was able to mount a collage and all the different carnival scenes and queen show scenes. And I invited the schools to attend. And it was so interesting to see some of the children saying, but look at my auntie there. That's my cousin. So and so, they were identifying members of their family. So that was very interesting. I did an exhibition where I mounted an exhibition where I displayed 4 different sitting rooms, one English, one French, one African, 5 of them, one Kalinago, and one Creole.
Yes.
I did this. And at the Alias Frances, I did this. And I think Mr. Lawrence came up and he saw what I was doing and asked whether I would mind joining the cultural division. And
So
that,
you did all of that without any formal training in the arts.
no, I had a lot of, I think Capricorns have leadership skills. So I was probably born with that. And then with my parents, we had to organize things. We with the family. Every year we had a family lunch with the entire family. So we always were organizing something. Mommy she mounted a concert, and at school things. I was head girl. I was form captain in every class. So
Mm.
I learned throughout my school days
So
how
you're a
to
natural leader.
probably the
Yes.
nuns saw that quality or the children saw that quality.
Yes,
I got
indeed.
a very good feedback from Dr. Carissa Etienne, who was a very good friend of mine. And she says, Aileen, oh, I admired you so much at school. And I said, but you were the brain box. I wasn't. What did you admire? So it must have been some leadership skill. And then I was in the inter-secondary schools drama society. We put on plays. So I had all this
Yes.
training.
Yes, you had been seasoned from high school days,
I
maybe
think
earlier.
yes, I think my
I did.
experience in my school days was good. And then being a nurse also, you have to organize your ward, so you have to find things for your patients to do.
Yes.
No,
Let me ask you, you were the Brownie before you became a ranger, were you?
no, I was neither a
Okay.
brownie or guide, but I started a brownie company in Roseau
Amazing.
because there were no brownies in Roseau at that time. And my niece we have just one little niece and in Roseau, and there was nothing for her to do. So I formed or revived the Brownie Pack in Roseau, and I
That's
worked.
after you returned from Guadeloupe.
Yes.
Yeah, because as a child, there were brownies and guides. So, things go in peaks and valleys.
No,
Again, it
no, no.
depends on the personalities to make things happen.
It's when I had my niece, I organized the brownie thing. I had returned to Dominica.
Yes.
So I did that for the children of her age group. And I worked with Mrs. Benjamin, and who was our commissioner, and Brownell Johnson, Rose Johnson, Rosie Riviere, who was helped out as well, Martha Wilson. She also eventually started a brownie group, and then the brownies revived in Roseau. But I did that for my niece.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, of course, that may have been the trigger, but ultimately it helped the entire uh, population of young girls in Roseau, gave them something to do with their lives.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. Outstanding. So let me ask you this now. How important do you think organizations like the Brownies, Girl Guides, Rangers, Young Christian Students, those civic organizations, how important is that in a country's development?
To me, it is very, very important. The principles of guiding, I don't think any other organization can surpass the principles of guiding.
Give us some of those principles for those who are not guides. Can you give me some of those principles?
Yes, you honor your country, um, honor country, state,
Your God,
country,
your God.
country, yes, God, states, and is it community? I've forgotten how you know, but it's a threefold promise. But to
Yeah.
my best, to do my duty to God and to the Queen, to help to serve other people at all times and to um, adhere to the guide laws. And the
Yes.
guide laws, there's a list of them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I promise to do my duty to God and to the Queen, but I think it was changed to God and to country,
Yes.
to help other people and to obey the guide laws. You see it coming back. I haven't thought about
Yes.
that for so long. You're
I
jogging my memory now. So that's come back. Yes. And
well, that's
and
wonderful.
there's nothing to beat the guiding laws.
Yes, yes. Let me
Also,
ask you about your thoughts, considering that you came from a very disciplined home. You've been a great proponent of Creole culture. Tell me about the kind of music, which a lot of it I think is quite filthy right now, that has inserted itself into our culture, and the kind of dancing, which is really not gracious. And I wouldn't like my sister, my mother, my wife, or any friend partake in, but which has become somewhat normative. I'm not sure whether we're taken after Brazil or wherever. What do you think about that?
well, I really don't see the need for it. But they probably say that is not my age. I have passed that age group.
This is a good time to ask: is grace and dignity and
Yes,
decency
you
something
have
that
no
is
wrong.
circumscribed by age, or is it something that's timeless?
Y- Um, it all depends on the individual and the training that they have received, their belief in God, their belief in spirituality, their belief in comportment. Is it necessary or not? And the thing is that it's very difficult to how do you explain principles? Principles are things you go by. Very difficult to explain that, you don't do this in certain areas, you do this at home. There was a period where everybody was walking with their towel on their shoulders. And I was president of Rosa Cultural Group, and I say, well, if you want to carry that because you are perspiring, I bought each of the men a handkerchief,
Yes.
or I told them to use um how you call this little wash rags, but fold it and
Ye-
put it in their pockets.
Yes,
Nobody was coming to meeting with a towel over their shoulders. I would tell them that's for the bathroom.
that's right.
Now,
That's right.
other people would say, so what's in that? Okay, so it's a principle I was brought up with. I cannot enforce my principles on other people, except because I was in charge of Rosa Cultural Group. If you're with me, you have to observe my principles and the principles of the group. How do you explain that to other people who, I mean, I look at the carnival costumes and I think, what other parts are they going to show?
Well, I mean, well, next in Brazil right now, they're wearing paint and no clothes. So the point I'm making is that I think the importance of this interview for me is that I believe that there are certain principles as like honesty, like decency, that are timeless, that they're
Decency,
there
but
for all
how do
time.
you explain that to children because they don't see anything wrong in it?
Well, the question
No,
is,
explain that.
Mr. Aileen, is have they been trained? You see, value engineering requires good home training. It requires good instruction at school, and it
Exactly.
requires the sort of repetition of those values that we learnt. If those values are, for reasons of ignorance, forgotten or not instructed, then we face the demise of our civilization. I frankly believe that because you see, and that's why it's so important in advanced civilizations, they make and maintain the record, and there are organizations that are dedicated to preserving the record. And what we're doing this evening is exactly that, so that somebody somewhere will see this and remember a time or understand that there was a time when Dominicans didn't go around with, let's say, towels on your shoulder or dressing or in a way that's not living much to the imagination, walking around half naked or behaving in the streets like barbarians, and call people old fashioned, if you will. You have to have decorum in every serious country. There has to be decorum. Now, there'll always be outliers. There'll always be people who have no time for that, and that's up to them. But the center must hold, you see. And that's why I think it was important to kind of get a bit of your impetus for preserving that traditional wear that you're wearing this evening. And so if you can take a moment and just describe what it is you're wearing, I'd appreciate it very much for the viewing audience. Let's start with the headwear.
Well, I am wearing what we call a tête piché or tête à lait calendé. The tête piché is the flat headpiece with the little peak. And this is why Dominica calls it the tête piché. It is also called the tête à lait because when you're wearing it, you're wearing it with a formal duet, and your posture with your, it's you carry yourself with your head held high in the air because you're well dressed and you're going to somewhere, you're going to an occasion, you're going to a classy event or a special event. So your head is in the air, tête à lait. It is called calendé because it is painted, and it is painted a saffron yellow before the headpiece is tied. This headpiece is permanently tied and can last for years if you take care of it. So this headpiece goes with the formal duet, which is what I am wearing. And the duet is a full-length dress. I will just stand up, but you will not be able to see all of it. It's a full-length dress with long sleeves, tied at the waist. It's tied inside and also tied at the waist in front. The foulard, which is supposed to make a contrast to the colors of the wop duet, is tied into the belt of the wop duet, the outside belt of the wop duet.
Outstanding.
And then I have a white petticoat, which is the traditional petticoat. It's a white lace petticoat. And this is traditional for the Dominica national dress. Now, this dress, we call it the national dress, but it's not official. It's not written in the Gazette. It hasn't been pronounced.
Why
But
not?
that I don't know, and I have been asking that question for the longest while. But it is a
Because they
unanimous.
always like to say, I'm sorry, they always like to say, and that's why, everything is about structure and institutionalization. Whenever there's a portrait done or there's a discussion, even when our law firm sponsored the Wob Duet, Madame Wob in New Jersey, which I can send you the videos of, it is described as our national wear. So it's kind of amazing to me that it's not
Unanimous.
formalized.
It is unanimous by the population of Dominica. It's our national dress. That along with the jipe chemise, but this one is really more the formal and what is really called, the national dress. So the only thing that is recorded by law is the shirt jack for, I think Patrick John had that done. Yes. So
But the
it's
shirt jacket is for men, huh? That's not for women.
a dress for men, but there's nothing for women.
Yeah, so we need to have that be done because I know your person of influence. I've seen your pictures with
I
high
am not a person
society.
of influence. Don't get that wrong. Get that, you have that wrong. I am not a person of influence.
Well,
I
certainly,
am
certainly with
trying to
influence.
influence the youth to appreciate what our ancestors have left us. I want them to appreciate the beauty. You cannot put a value on what these people have done to be seen and recognized and accepted in society. You cannot put a value on that.
Yes.
So this is what I'm trying to, you see, again, you cannot force people to do things. You cannot, for example, there are people who want to change the way that the dress is worn. They want to change the headpiece. They change the colors. We have there's a legend which guides you as to what colors and what foulard to wear. Some people find they need to change it. I can't
Yes.
do much
Yes.
about it except do what I have done. I have written 3 books, one for the cultural division. So I just wrote it for the cultural division. And then my contract ended. And then I wrote 2 books on my own for children. So
Well,
there
I'd
are
like to get copies of those books. Can you give us the names, please?
type of influences the children and the mothers, but
Yes.
I can't go further than that. I have
Yeah.
no no
What are the
influence.
name? What are the names of the books that you've written?
Um, it's one is for the WOB duet, my national dress, the WOB duet, and the other is my national dress, the Jeep chemise. I think
Outstanding.
photographs.
And you've done, yes, you have, and you've done one for ch children as well, or two.
Yes. Well, that's what I
Outstanding.
did. The one I did for the cultural division is the national dress of Dominica.
I see. Yes. I just want to compliment you because you've truly taken up after Irene Peltier and Mabel Cici Corderon. I mean, Raymond Lawrence, Alvin Bully, Pearl Christian, the other members of the cultural division have all done like, outstanding work. But I think you have singularly, well, I would say singularly, but you certainly have been a leader in the preservation of the national dress as far as that is concerning women. And I've seen a few parades through town that you're a participant in. I see Mr. Badwill there. Mr. Badwill was a senior
Yes.
cadet to me when I was a cadet. He was ahead of me. That's Larry Badwill.
Mhm. Mhm.
He was a cadet when I was 3 or 4 forms ahead of me.
Mhm.
Um, but he was a serious cadet. And I really want to say this evening how impressed I am with the legacy you've left behind thus far, not only in nursing, but to come back home and to be uh, sort of leader in cultural rendition and in preserving our national wear and in being a force for good, including taking on social issues like domestic violence and the rights of women, because I think women hold us up, oftentimes aren't given the due credit by a society that sometimes, you know, um, promotes a degree of machismo, which is quite ignorant, to be frank with you. I think a nation cannot go any further than its women, and that where its women are exalted and revered, that nation will prosper. Where women are subordinate and abused, I think, and exploited, that nation is going to see difficulty. So I want to, on behalf of all conscious Dominicans, all patriotic Dominicans, I want to take a moment to salute you as your father would do for having been someone keenly dedicated to honor, duty, and country, both in the medical services as a nurse, in cultural rendition as a promoter of the national dress, and also uh, the rights of women. And maybe now also from your position in Guadeloupe and being an intermediary, we can help. Maybe you can be one of those to lead us to a closer union, closer relationship with our French neighbors. And I'll maybe end on that by asking you, how has it been? How have you been received in Guadeloupe? It seems to me, before you say anything, that the Guadeloupeans saw your value because once you met the guy who owned the hospital, he didn't keep you waiting 6 months, did he?
Oh no, he didn't. And the second time I went, but let me end. I just want to sum up something. For the National Council of Women, I was program coordinator, but the director was Mrs. Neva Edwards. And she
Yes,
also did a lot of work um, helping the women. She was
yes,
really the force behind the council.
yes,
Then for the cultural division and the promotion of the dress, I would like to say also that the team at the cultural division under Alwyn and Raymond started the competitions for that same purpose, the traditional dress competitions, so that Miss Wop do it to preserve and to encourage people to wear. So they did a lot of groundwork in that respect, and that must
yes.
not be taken away from them. I am just
Oh, no,
carrying on.
no, no, not
So,
at all. And that's very gracious of you, to always acknowledge that it's a team effort. It takes teamwork to make the dream
that's
work.
a fact. And I give everybody their due.
Yes, indeed.
So you haven't forgotten the question you
Well,
asked.
from your position in Guadeloupe, where you're
Oh,
now
what yes.
resident and you're back and forth, how
Okay.
can you, as someone who's been on both sides, bring us, you think, what are the things we
Let
can do to bring us closer together?
Okay, just let me tell you something. In 2003, my contract with the Division of Culture was not renewed for some unknown reason. It was not renewed. And again, I called the same clinic I worked at. And you know what the gentleman said to me? It was his son, because I had worked with his son. They were both doctors. And he says, Aileen, can you come tomorrow?
Amazing.
Dr.
Wow.
Peter, Dr.
Wow.
Jean-Claude Peter, he says to me, Aileen, can you come tomorrow? Because you left some very good memories, souvenirs, he says. Can you come
Amazing.
tomorrow? So I was off to Guadeloupe, and that's where, but they had changed to palliative care. So I worked 11 years in palliative care. Again, in Guadeloupe, I I danced a bit with, I went to their vocal classes. So I integrated a little bit. Now, I returned home in 2015 to look after mommy, and then hurricane, you know what happened. So God has willed that I return to Guadeloupe because I was in Barbados for 3 years, and I came to Guadeloupe for my cousin's burial, and then COVID came on, so there I was. That was
Yeah.
God's way of telling me I need to stay in Guadeloupe. So I am in Guadeloupe.
And you like
Um,
Guadeloupe? It's a very nice country.
yes, I have come to accept it, and I enjoy it. I still miss my friends and family. I mean, going places like with Pearl, attending functions and things like that. I do miss that.
But
But
you can take the
gradually,
ferry.
sorry?
You can take the ferry.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, which is nice. So
How long does
hopefully,
it take to get from Dominica to Guadeloupe on the ferry?
2 hours and a quarter.
2 hours and a quarter.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Just
it's
enough
fine.
time to have dinner on the boat.
It's not too long. It goes fast.
Yes.
It's not too long. They used to go faster, but they have slowed down because it wasn't doing the boats any good.
I see.
So they have slowed down. So it's now 2 hours and a quarter. Gradually, I'm integrating. Um, I have met this lady. She was looking for me, actually, a French lady. She's doing research, so I'm helping her with research. I met an artist, and I helped her with her exhibition. So gradually I'm integrating. And then next week will be Fête des Cuisinières. So I'll dress up in my duet and I will be joining them on the road.
Yes.
So gradually I'm integrating. It's
And
nice.
and fête de cuisinière is a fête of the cooks.
Love the cooks, yes.
So they have what? They have kalaloo and different things.
They're making kalaloo later on. This one, they're making kalaloo for the fete in Monaloo because kalaloo crab, you get them in Monaloo. That's a specialty. So they're
I
going
see.
to go there, I think on the 19th or something like that. But next Saturday, they will be having a luncheon. Everything will be made by the cuisiniers. They dress up in their duets. All of them wear the same color, the same pattern, and they wear their apron with baskets, with little cups and all miniature utensils, all what
Yes.
they use in the kitchen. And it's quite a sight. And there are a
Amazing.
lot of people, and I think this year is their 105th year doing it.
Maybe we can organize for them to come to Dominica and do a rendition.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping to meet the president, and we may be able to work out something. I'm
Yes, because
hoping.
I think we can really help Dominica a lot by bringing us closer to our French neighbors. I believe Rosie Douglas had a very good idea, but of course he didn't last. But I believe that our future resides in a closer relationship in both. We go all the way to Dubai and other places, but our future, I believe, resides in our closest neighbors who, for reasons of culture and history and heritage and intermarriage, and language and music and cuisine, our natural allies. I mean, I want to let you know that I did assist Irvin Andre, who is himself of French origin from the Pyrenees, um, uh, in doing the book called Sanctuary: How Dominica Saves Guadeloupe and Martinique in World War II. When
Yes,
they basically,
that's good. That's
you
good.
should have that book, but if you don't, I'll try to get a copy for you.
Yeah, I would love to read that. It's
Yes.
good because
As a matter of fact, what I'd like to say to you if you can find a way for us to come to Guadeloupe to do a presentation of the book and maybe even get a Guadeloupe organization that can take the manuscript in English and translate it to French, I think that'd be a wonderful thing because in the book is at the back in the appendix, there are maybe about 50 little depositions of the police at Fort Young when the refugees would come. We was able to put his hands on some of the depositions and they go like that, like this. My name is Aileen Burton. I belong to the French artillery, and I was disbanded. My unit was disbanded after the defeat of France, and I have come to Dominica to join the resistance. That's how they read. It's fascinating. So people who get that book could see the names of their
Yes,
relatives, and they would be seeing the statements for the first time
yes.
because those statements were kept by the British police on Dominica at Fort Young. So Irvin was able to get some of those. So send me your address and I'll try to mail one to you. And then we can talk about how we can do something in Martinique and Guadeloupe so that the Martinicans and Guadeloupeans have a better image of Dominica as a country that was a sanctuary, not some of the more unfortunate incidents of recent times, of which
Yes.
I'm sure you know.
I think it's necessary, and I'm really sorry that this didn't happen like much earlier on. I know there has been always contact, but contact with hucksters, you know.
Yeah.
I know that there are families in Dominica who had very good friends in Guadeloupe. I know my aunt had a very good friend called Madame Pino. And when I came to Guadeloupe, I actually went to visit her. She was in her 90s. So there has been contact. But you still get this kind of prejudice where they feel that a lot of Dominicans are just market vendors.
Yeah,
They,
there's not been contact really between the
yeah.
English speaking intelligentsia, with this
Mhm.
rare exception of Rosie Douglas, who I will tell you, my first time to Guadeloupe was in 1980 to Pointe-à-Pitre to meet the mayor, Georges Bagou. He and his brothers were members of the Communist Party and also the independence movement. They were parts. These two parties were not looked at the same way in Dominica. Well, they didn't have that in Dominica, but in the French territories, the Socialist Party and the Communist Party were part of the resistance. So they were parties that were institutional parties. They were not parties that were radical fringe. They had mayoral seats. The mayor of Pointe-à-Pitre. The gentleman was a surgeon. And I'm in his office and he says, "Can you speak patois?" And I'm at the loss. I said, "I can speak better Spanish than I can speak patois because I took Spanish in school. But since they discouraged patois at our home, I couldn't hold a conversation. And I spoke to him in Spanish and he spoke to me in Spanish. And that was 1980. I'm not sure if you ever heard of the Bangu brothers, Bangu, Bangou.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. So in
Mhm.
any event, that's the only time I went to Guadeloupe. So the contact has been through people through the back door and hucksters, and it has not always given a salutary sort of representation of our country. It has been sort of
Yeah.
partial. And
Mhm.
through the book and through the efforts we may undertake as we build the Dominica and other Dominicans of substance, not to say that the hucksters are not of substance, they are, but
They
we
are
need
of
to have a
substance.
cooler.
People are just familiar with them being on the market.
Yes, yes, marchandise. So we
Yeah.
need to have a little more fleshed out image of Dominica, not one that is monochromatic or one-sided, but one that is more multifaceted and represents the fullness of the society. You know? So any final words to cultural activists and advocates and activists like you've been all your years in way of encouragement? Final thoughts.
I think that our national dress is something that needs to be valued, and probably I'm hoping that my books will penetrate the schools, and that the children from a very early age will learn to appreciate. I am praying that the older folks do not try to change it, but just stick to the traditional, because I mean it's such a beautiful costume. I don't know, or dress. I don't know why anybody would want to change it. It is just so beautiful and it is complete. I don't think it needs anything more, you know, and particularly the value and the homage we give to the freed persons, the persons who were in the independent workers, self-employed, who, who got married, who developed families, who made an impression in society. I think we need to pay homage to them, and to come up with something like this duet is just extraordinary. They have
Yes,
blended European and African, and it is neither one or the other. So
yes, indeed. It's unique.
it's unique, you know. So I
And
am just,
also the French like to say it's authentic.
we say authentic.
Yes, indeed. So
So
I
that
just
is,
want to, I really want to salute you. And
yeah,
I was sending some video of the WAP Duet show in New Jersey because we, for many years in the early 2000s, we sponsored the show in part, and I sometimes emceed it. And
Selma
you would
Brown.
like to, sorry?
Selma Brown.
No, it's the Dominica Emerald Organization of New Jersey,
Ah,
DEONG.
okay,
I'll send you
okay.
some of those tapes
I did
because
one
I have
with,
them on YouTube. Yeah.
okay. I did something with Selma Brown. She
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. So I saw last year a parade in Roseau around Independence time. I saw Badwill. You may have been in the parade as well, but I may
Yes,
not.
I love going home for that.
Yeah, you all started, I think, at the ministry
Highlights.
on Bath Road, and you went all the way. I think it was raining that day,
It
and
was. Oh my God.
you went all the way
Oh,
to the People's Park. Yes.
yeah, I was soaked throughout.
Yes. But I enjoyed seeing you. I enjoyed looking at it.
I
I
enjoyed
really
it. I
appreciate that
enjoyed
because it's the authentic Dominica. It's not the sort of fake pastiche we know borrowing from places where it really doesn't mean anything much for us. And
it.
really, sometimes it's quite debasing and ugly. So I like what is pretty and authentic, and you're a beautiful belle, if I can say that. And, I ask God to bless you with good health and vigor for many, many years so you can continue the education mission that you embarked upon so many years ago.
Thank you. And I would like to return the compliment to you because of all the documentation that you're doing, all with the aim of making Dominica better. And that is what we in our generation were brought up to do, to make Dominica better. So I want to
Amen.
thank you for all these documents you have done, all the books you have produced, all the research that you're doing. Keep it up and may God grant you good health as well.
God bless you and give my very best regards to our beloved teacher, Frances
I will do that.
Burton Harris. We knew her as Burton, but then later Harris. And our compliments from one Capricorn to another. January 1st,
Ah, okay.
New Year's Day. So
Okay.
thank you again. God bless you. And I'll be sharing this with you shortly. God bless you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.